Question number 1. What factors did Precursor identify as making a person American in the late 18th century? Some key elements he highlighted included geography and environment. Crucifer emphasized the influence of the New World's land, climate, and resources on shaping American identity. He believed that the fertile land and opportunities for prosperity helped create a new kind of person, pragmatic, industrious, and independent. Freedom and opportunity. He saw America as a land of opportunity where individuals could escape the constraints of the old world. Assimilation and integration. Precursor observed that immigrants, once they arrived in America, were able to integrate into society, leaving behind old identities. Individualism and self-reliance. He portrayed Americans as self-reliant individuals who worked the land and lived independently, fostering a spirit of individualism that was different from the dependent or hierarchical social structures in Europe, and the melting pot of cultures. Precursor, I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing the name incorrectly, acknowledged that America was becoming a melting pot of diverse cultures where different ethnic groups lived together and contributed to the creation of a unique American identity. These factors combined to shape a distinctly American character, one rooted in freedom, opportunity, and the transformative power of the American landscape. Question number 2. Do you agree with these factors as identified at the time? To what extent are they still accurate now, over 200 years later? The factors identified by J. Hector St. John D. Precursor in Letters from an American Farmer provided a foundational understanding of what made someone American in the late 18th century. The emphasis on geography, freedom, opportunity, individualism, and cultural assimilation reflected the experiences and values of early American settlers and immigrants. However, whether these factors are still accurate today, over 200 years later, requires some reflection on how America and its identity have evolved over time. Precursors' analysis of American identity was groundbreaking for his time, highlighting the uniqueness of the American experience. While many of his insights remain relevant today, the complexities of modern society, such as issues of inequality, multiculturalism, and evolving definitions of freedom mean that the factors he identified need to be understood in a more nuanced way today. The American identity he described has been shaped by over 200 years of change, and while the core ideas of freedom, opportunity, and individualism persist, the way these values are applied has evolved significantly. Number 3. There's a question. Sorry. Which of the fractures identified in American society from the evidence in Chapter 6 and 7 of the American Yawp were the most significant, important, and why? In Chapters 6 and 7 of the American Yawp, significant fractures within American society are identified, which reflect the complexities and contradictions of the early republic. These fractures reveal tensions in the social, economic, and political landscape that would shape the nation's development. Some of the most significant fractures include slavery and race, the struggles of the working class, the political division, the Federalists versus the Anti-Federalists, gender inequality, and women's rights, indigenous rights, and land conflicts. These fractures are significant because they highlight the inherent contradictions in the formation of the United States. The promise of liberty and equality was unevenly applied, often excluding large swaths of the population, such as enslaved people, women, Native Americans, and the working poor. These fractures were important not only because they exposed the limitations of the American system in its early years, but also because they provided the foundation for future social and political movements. The divisions between North and South Federalists and Anti-Federalists, elites and working class citizens, and the gender and racial inequality set the stage for many of the conflicts and struggles that would define American history for centuries to come. Moreover, the unresolved nature of these fractures meant that compromise or resolution will often be postponed or delayed, contributing to long-term social unrest and even violent conflict such as the Civil War and the women's suffrage movement. Ultimately, these fractures were integral to the trajectory of American political development, shaping how the nation would address its contradictions and move towards a more inclusive society. Number 4, in your opinion, does any remnant of legacy of this fracture still play a role in modern American society? Explain why or why not. I'm sorry, I lost my spot. Yes, many of the fractures identified in early American society, particularly those related to slavery and race, economic inequality, political division, and gender inequality, still play significant roles in modern American society. These fractures, those shaped by different historical contexts, have left lasting legacies that continue to influence the social, political, and economic landscape of the United States today. Here's an explanation of how these issues persist: slavery and race, economic inequality and class divides, political division, gender inequality, indigenous rights, and land conflicts. In conclusion, the fractures identified in early American society have not only persisted, but have evolved and become more complex in modern times. Issues of race and slavery, economic inequality, political division, gender inequality, and indigenous rights continue to shape American society and politics. These legacies show that the fractures of the past remain unresolved in many ways, and they continue to influence the country's social, economic, and political dynamics. While significant progress has been made in some areas, the underlying issues remain critical to understanding the challenges America faces today. Addressing these remnants of historical fractures requires ongoing efforts to achieve a more equitable and just society. My name is Michelle Walker, and this is for Unit 4. Thank you.